Welcome to the Jimmy Palumbo Show. That's right. This is show number 105 here of the Jimmy Palumbo Show. And it's actually a special show. It's really the 2-year anniversary of this fine podcast, which people seem to enjoy. Well, at least my family members do. It's a way to keep in touch with my family. But listen, I listen. This first show started on March 15th, 2021. And it's been 2 years, 104 shows. This is 105. And I want to thank the boys over at Chop Sports, Dave and Chris. I don't know where Chris is right now. I just couldn't wait any longer. So I decided to just start the show. When he pops in, he'll hop right in. I want to thank all my sponsors, especially my sponsor, Absolute Eyewear. They've been with me from the very beginning here, getting involved. Janine and Craig Michaud, of course, I do their spots every week, and also their friends, and also they played on my softball team. Craig is the all-time leading strikeout hitter, which I feel I need to bring that up at all times. He struck out in slow pitch softball the most, I think, in the country. But he's a fine young man with a fine family. And Absolute Eyewear, please always go patronize Absolute Eyewear. Also, I want to thank cornholelevel.com, Mike Caprio, who showed up at my stand-up show. More on that later. Also, chasingmiracles.com. You got to check that place out. And I believe Chris is coming on now. And I also want to thank, there's Chris live. He probably doesn't know he's on.
Bro, I had
he's
to
live.
change studios.
Yeah, all right. Well,
Here.
If you Google disrespecting Jimmy Palumbo, they're going to show you scrambling.
All of a sudden,
yeah, it is. Anyway, I'm in the middle of this, so hang on. I also want to thank Lisa Ruane and Pine Tar Bar and Grill and some of my other sponsors that have come through. I mean, 2 years of doing podcast. I'm proud of that in a certain way. I also want to thank my sister Mary Eileen, who always checks in with me and makes sure that things aren't blurry, which they usually are. But technically, is this the best podcast in the world? No, sir. But we like to have some fun. Also, my brother, who is great for being about 8 podcasts behind, and he's first one to call me up and say I made a mistake. I said Mel Hall instead of Charlie Hayes or something like that, which I always laugh at. He gets mad at me. You can't do that. I'm like, I'm live, Frank. What do you want from me? I make mistakes. God bless. I also want to thank my daughter, Natalie, who listens every now and again. I want to thank my mom, who occasionally figures out how to go online and listen, but she's very supportive of me for sure. And, of course, all my Patreon members. I mean, 2 years, Patreon, we're on fire, although we might be back in a slump again. But I want to thank my family members, my cousins, and my nephews, which make up a bulk of my Patreon. But I had a big family, so God bless America. Joe Rogan's people are still very aware. They're concerned as Chris undresses.
Well, it was a little dark with the black on black.
Yes, I know. Live from the Chop Sports Studios in downtown Matawan. But I want to thank also the strangers on Patreon. I got a bunch of people on my Patreon that they know me from the show, which is really awesome. And I appreciate that. And to all, to all my people that text me about the show and say nice things, that's very cool. Listen, I don't know what I'm doing here. It's just me talking. I always wanted to do this as a garden variety, like late night talk show, and therefore I'm not specific. Yes, am I a Yankee fan? So we talk about the Yankees. Am I a Rutgers fan? Obviously, we talk about them, the Giants, the Knicks, the Rangers. Those are my teams. I talk about them at the top of the show normally, and that's who I am. So that's what we talk about. We talk about showbiz. That's what I do. And look, if you don't like sports too much, well, what can I tell you? If you're talking to me at the bar, that's how I'm going to be mumbling about stuff like that. I'm also a stand-up, so I talk about stand-up comedy as well. And I'm going to get to more of my Avenel shows in just a second. And I also want to thank my guests over these last 2 years. Artie Lang, who I wish well. Ralph Macchio for coming on. And Dominic Lombardozzi. And Pat Volkamer, Chop Sports all-time leading jerk-off, who me and Chris secretly love that the way he posts. Actually, he posts the way you should post. He actually is. You know what? I think Pat's the number one poster, to be honest with you. That's how you should post. You should make people post against you, make people. It's a great way to engage. He's out of his mind, of course, but he's a value.
When you
add
say
to
number one
anybody.
poster, you mean like the most consistent, or you mean he has the best posts?
No, not the best post. It's just that when he posts, he gets a reaction. I think when you have a Facebook site, that's what it's all about. Put it this way: if this was a radio show, Pat would be a regular call-in because I would know.
There's people that post, like, if anyone on any team that plays locally takes a shit, there's a post about it. There's like a couple people that we have to ban them almost because they post so much.
But Pat always says something provocative, and he's also
thought-provoking, and he incites riots.
He's wrong a lot. Yeah, the best part about it is Pat Volckermer is an obnoxious Cowboy fan, and he pisses off the obnoxious Cowboy fan. So to me, it's like watching a Civil War. And as a Giant fan, and I've clearly stated, let's look at the technology that was out there when the Cowboys last won the Super Bowl. Okay, 1996. I think I just got cable. Anyway, so I love that he causes Cowboy fans to go nuts. But God bless. It's all in fun. By the way, guys, this is a podcast. It's when we talk about sports, which I'm about to argue with Chris, I'm sure, in a few minutes about some things. It's sports. Nobody's dying. It's not Ukraine. It's not woke. It's a dumb thing we do to take our minds off our lives. It's called being a fan. That's a short for fanatic. We're out of our minds. When our team wins, we're happy. When our team loses, we're breaking televisions. And that's the way it is. It's nonsensical. It's a big industry. Any of my friends out there with the apps and the gambling, please be careful with that. That can get carried away. That's when it becomes that's real when you get in the gambling nets. Instead of owing Vinny, you owe your credit card, which then when you go to buy a house, your wife's like, what do you mean we have no credit? Oh, well, I bet the Cowboys a lot and it didn't work out. So you got to watch out for that. I have no gambling sponsor, although I would kindly take MGM Sports to sponsor my show in a heartbeat.
Yeah, come on.
Anyway,
let's be real.
Of course. But still, be careful of gambling. But I appreciate everybody being involved. And, of course, Dave Sturcho and Chris. Chris does most of my co-hosting here. And I just want to thank everybody. It's been 2 years. I'm still plugging away. We're still growing the audience. And I think as my acting career grows and my stand-up career grows, this will become a pretty fun show to check in with. All right. Well, now that Chris is dressed properly and he took his clothes off, the women are shaking in their boots. Shout out to Joshua Riccardi, who gave me a ride home the other night from the show, and also Sam Grasso, who's just another jerk off Cowboy fan, but he's a long-time Colonia guy. I love him. Thanks for checking in.
He's
Sam.
No. You're thinking of his brother Anthony.
Oh.
Sam is a very not.
Oh, wait a minute. What is?
Bucks
okay,
fan.
I got it wrong. It's
Yep.
like Anthony's the Cowboy. You know what, Sam? I'm a jerk off. I'm sorry.
That's fine because he probably gets it all the time because his brother is so obnoxious that you think it's just a family thing.
Yes.
But his brother is also playing the part.
I know
very
his brother
well.
for years. Yes. God bless. Yeah. Listen, the minute you hate someone because they're a Cowboy fan or a Giant fan, like, relax, bro. It's nonsense. All right. So we're here now. Of course, what do we do at the top of the show here at Shea? And I'm coming from downtown Mahwah from the Jimmy Palumbo Shitty Kitchen Studios. Trademarking that. I should have shirts out soon. Also, Chris Gucci is coming from downtown Mattawan from the Chop Sports media capital of the world, the ESPN of Mattawan. Is Chris Gucci coming in? Now listen, Chris.
Bro.
I gotta talk to you, bro. Listen to me. This is Jimmy Palumbo talking here. First of all, we all know who Ben Simmons is. Always hurt. You never know. I
have a good rebuttal for this because I knew this was coming. So I thought of this. Of course.
So what happens is I get texts. You don't text me. Hey, Jimmy, man, I got a problem. No, I get a text from Dave who says Ben Simmons is out of the.
Want to bet?
No, last week you were out. I didn't get it from you. I got it from Dave first. Want
to bet?
I have my phone out. We laughed about it last week.
I said, I'm having a procedure done today. Dave is your guy for 105. 105 being the show 105.
Yeah, you said that
I got a fucked up blank.
Okay, listen.
I'm hoping they don't have to blank. And then your one word response was Ben Simmons.
Yeah, there you
go.
I
did text you.
No, but
it was at 11:11. Yeah. Now I want to tell you what happened.
Now listen, time out. Before you go, I'll let you go. You're gonna have your moment. Why you disrespect my show? It's fine. I want to know now, first of all, if I know you had some legitimate health issues. I'm not here to mock out your health issues. I'm just saying Ben Simmons bad back as well. So what happened last week, Chris?
So Ben Simmons is I think it's a poor. You ever see how good Randy Moss was, but then when Randy Moss was on the Raiders, you know what I mean? He was like, I got to go get my hamstring fixed. I got to go get my. So that's like what the equation is. I'm a Hall of Famer, bro. I'm just getting my issues sorted out, right? Next year, you know, the year after I get traded off the Raiders and I'm back in the full swing of things, I'm going to put up 23 touchdowns. I'm going to set the single season record for touchdown receptions, reception yards in a single season. Now, but what happened was I had surgery on my sinuses, bro. I got a sinus issue. It's causing an issue with my jaw, and I'm having I couldn't blow my nose. I got stitches still. I had 2 black eyes. That's why I couldn't come to your show over the weekend. I looked like I got into a little fight with Boom Boom Mancini over the weekend.
Okay. So listen, I understand.
I can't be on camera. I can't be on camera looking like I got this shit beat out of me.
The bottom line is my fans scoring at home when they tune in around one. Like today, of course, you got on at 108. I had to start because I couldn't wait. You are officially listen when you're healthy. Listen, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, great players running around the field. So what I have to do is I have to have like a possible signing with like Sirius XM or one of these big channels, right? And then I got to say, listen, they're going to say, do you want to use Chris or not? I'm going to say, you know what? Let's give him like the net. Let's do the Aaron Judge. Let him play all year. And
it's a platoon. Be like, you know, I don't really have a solid first baseman. But what I do have is I have a guy that hits lefties really well, and then I got Steve Balboni who just crushes righties. And that's
bottom line is
comes in off the bench.
We just don't know whether or not you're going to do the show. So that being said, I'm glad your sinuses, and I think Dave said it was your teeth or something. I don't even know.
Well, it is, bro. It's like I'm having an issue in like the back of my mouth, right? And then when I went, he's like, I mean, you want me to get graphic? It's like
no, we don't need to get.
I need to have like a bone.
I don't want to hear about things in the
jaw.
back of your mouth. You know that can go another way. Really,
I need a bone graft.
All right, well, get yourself healthy, and listen. You know what? The bottom line is to qualify for your health insurance for the Jimmy Palumbo Show. You just have to really do the show once a month, and you still get in. So now we are up to baseball card situation because we're up to show 105, second year. Beginning our 3rd year, technically, of the Jimmy Palumbo Show. That's right. Here, I got a guy now that nobody knows. And this, I remember they used to print a lot of these out because this was a spoke guy. But I learned some things. Here he is right here. Ron Fairley. Okay. Now, this guy, look at the bad batting stance, like that classic straight up in the air. You can tell this guy played a long time.
Yeah, he probably batted 280.
So, yeah, I looked this guy up, and I learned a couple of things, Christopher. Number one, he played 21 years in Major League Baseball. I don't care who you are, what generation, 100 years ago, 10 years ago, when you play 21 years in the pro sport, okay, you got to give the guy, I mean, look, that's awesome. 21 years. He played with the Dodgers for 12 years. The Expos, the Cardinals, Angels, Toronto, and Oakland. His lifetime batting average was 266. That's not that bad for that era. He hit 215 ding-dongs, and he had over 1,900 hits. So, this guy was definitely a journeyman. He was a good glove, played first base, little left field. He was known as being slow as shit, which I remember because he played up until, I guess he played until from 59 to 70, 81 or whatever it was. I remember him as a player. He won the World Series 3 times with the Dodgers back in the 60s, which is wild. And he batted 300 in the World Series, and he had a huge series in 65 where he went 11 for 29. So there's some Dodger fan out there that's like, that guy was great the one year. So he was like, who was that guy in the Yankees with the big home run against the Braves?
Leyritz?
Yeah, so to someone, he's their Jim Leyritz, who had a couple of big hits. Which I think is unbelievable. So he played in 2,400 games, a lot of baseball there. And here's the crazy thing. He moved into the broadcasting booth, and he was broadcasting for the Angels, the Giants, Seattle for 13 years. He 27 years broadcasting. So 21, this guy was in baseball for 48 years. But here's the cool thing, and they could never do this today. I mean, you're going to love what I'm about to tell you. When he was in the radio booth for the Angels, he was also their hitting instructor. Now think about this. Think about this, bro. He's pitching batting practice, going over all this stuff because the McNamara loved him. And then all of a sudden, once, like, say the game started at 7 o'clock, right around 10 to 7, he went inside. It's only radio, walked up with his uniform. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to. I think that's
and like he wasn't. I guess it's a different day because now the hitting coach has to be there. Like, it's you're not like
back then there was hitting instructor. They were, but this guy was like a key guy in the manager's world, and he did the game. Which means how, like, if a guy was like 0 for 11, you think he's going to bash him because technically we would say it's his fault. But I've never. I'm sure it's been done, and I know. Back then, hitting instructors are not what it is today with the video, and you can, I mean, right? I don't know if kids at home know this, but my daughter Natalie's checking in. Hey, Nat, how you doing, bub? Sorry, I didn't see that come through. I hope you're feeling a little better. The bottom line is, right now, if you're facing, say, I don't know, Mariano Rivera or Pettit, or whatever the bad pitcher is, I just completely lost every German. Let's say you can go up to the video staff and say, can you give me every one of German's first pitches that he's thrown in the last, and they get that for you. I mean, that's incredible, the knowledge. But then again, everybody says that's why it's such an advantage. However, the pitcher gets to go to his guy and go, hey, let me know what Aaron Judge's third pitch of every at-bat is. So it's just information. It's video. The old days, it was a crotchety old guy with a cigar, half in a bag in the stands going, you got to pitch Judge outside when it's 0-2, inside when it's 1-1, that kind of stuff. It's more technical. Anyway, I think it's funny that Ron Fairley was the hitting instructor.
I think the pitchers are winning this battle.
Yeah, a little bit. So also they're throwing harder, and I think the reliever thing is the big thing. Anyway, he was involved in 7,000 baseball games. Dude, that's got to be a record. I mean, I shouldn't say it, but 7,000 games? That's like
it's not a record because you got guys that been announcing for 60 years, like Vince Scully. Was there ever a Dodgers game that he wasn't?
But he played though. Yeah, player and involved.
Yeah, I know. But when we're talking 47 years combined, that's incredible. But there's guys that were in the booth for 50 years. John Sterling. How long has John Sterling been doing games?
Right, but since 87, I think, or 89, I think. But listen, this guy also played, so you got to factor that's a bigger deal. But I'm sure Yogi, now that I think about it, Yogi might have been up there as well. Anyway,
yeah, there's probably some guys that have put up some serious numbers.
Well, outside of like Vince Scully, a guy like John.
Look at like Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan played 102 years, and he still owns or is a president of somebody.
No, I'm talking about when I mean involved, I mean broadcasting or playing. In management, I'm not counting management. Talking about being involved, watching, staring, having to be at the game.
Well, Nolan Ryan was at every home game for the Rangers I think it was the Astros for a while.
I'm telling you right now, 7,000 is a lot of games, man. Anyway, it's pretty fascinating. This guy who was in my spokes, Ron Fairley, ended up being played for teams that I didn't follow, especially in the pre-ESPN era, and that's it. Ron Fairley. Plus, on the back card, it says, which former Yankee was known as Moose? Do you know that, Chris?
Moose Skowron?
There you go. Bill Skowron, the Moose. Anyway, kind of a boring back of the card. I usually like last week, the tidbits are like make no sense. So this one was kind of normal. Anyway, I don't know if you had time to pick
I did have time. Well, I put it this way. I have a vault of old school mid 80s, early 90s baseball players. Some of them from Yankees, some of them from not, but most of them are definitely guys that I've at least watched while watching the Yankees. And this guy happened to come up with the Yankees and then turn into an eventual Yankee killer. He had a 10-year career. He played for the Yankees for 3 seasons and then 7 seasons with the White Sox. I'm going to see if you could guess his name. Definitely hit a Yankees, then White Sox. Initials are DP.
DP. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank.
First baseman, outfielder, Dan Pasqua.
Oh, what you call him a Yankee killer?
Bro, I remember, Dan Pasqua definitely, I remember my father always saying.
I think he got one. He was one of those guys who was supposed to be the next coming.
Well, when we talk about Yankee killers, if he had 20 home runs in a season and 4 of them that year came against the Yankees, that's Yankee killer to me. It was a different time. 20 home runs was like Danny Tartable led the Yankees.
All right. I remember Dan Pasqua, right? He had a huge hit in the 95 season, I believe.
I wonder who the Yankees traded for to, or I should say, yeah, what did they trade Pasqua for? Because he was only there for 3 years and he was like a good player when he was there.
Yeah, they must have got him part of a bigger player because he was but he was also one of those guys that was gonna be the Yankee. Listen, because when Yankees are in the big market, this happens all the time, and I hope it doesn't happen with Volpe, who we'll get to in a minute. Where the Yankees machine, the New York media, when anybody comes up, it's like, oh my God, this guy. And then 3 years in, it's like, you know what? He's not that good, really. And
they got the shortstop. They got 2 kids right now in the Yankees that are definitely getting some hype. But
Dominguez, we'll see.
They're doing well in the spring.
We're going to get to that in a second. So anyway, all right, Dan Pasqua and Ron Fairley. Somebody just Howard Aranan just tucked in the home run I ever saw in Dodger Stadium was Ron Fairley, first home run. That's so funny. So we have someone who's a fan of Ron Fairley. I think I'm going to get contacted by some of the family members. Like, excuse me, are you talking about my dad on your show? Like, who's talking about Ron Fairley? But that's what we do here. We bring up people. My goal is to talk about things that nobody knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's it. Dan Pasqua and Ron Fairley, of course, sponsored by Absolute Eyewear, who's been with us for a couple of years now, 42 Main Street, Woodbridge, New Jersey, 732-326-3937. Craig and Janine Michaud always have a big-time St. Patty's Day party on Sunday in downtown Woodbridge. That's always a fun time. They are full-service opticians. Of course, Craig was my right center fielder, all-time leading strikeout king. He hates when I say it, but I tell his kids that now. He gets mad at me, but that's how it goes. Prescription sunglasses, eyeglasses. They got glasses for the kids. They got an optometrist who's right on site there. Glasses for every budget. If you mention the Jimmy Palumbo Show, you get $100 off a complete pair of prescription glasses here at Shea. And of course, they carry a bunch of different kinds of glasses. Ray-Ban, Coach, Ralph Lauren, Jimmy Choo, Silhouette, Michael Kors, Vogue, Maui Jim, Costa Del Mar, and every now and then Charles Oakley stops by. All right, that's it. So go check them up. Open 5 days a week. Closed on Wednesdays. Why, Chris?
Because that would be softball.
And closed on Sundays. Why, Chris?
New York Giant football.
All right, $40
million man.
That's right. We're going to get to that in a second. Absolute Eyewear, 42 Main Street, Woodbridge, New Jersey. Give them a call, 732-326-3937. But best of all, when you leave there, you don't feel like a jerk off. That's the all-time slogan of all time. They're good people. They help you out. God bless America. All right. Now, Patreon. My Patreon members, who I thank profusely at the top of the show. We are stuck at 26. I can't believe we're stuck at Rob Carpenter. I didn't see this coming. There's so many great players at 27. I mean, you got the 27 Yankees. You got Butch Weiniger. You got Mel Hall. I mean, these are like legendary Yankees here. So we're stuck there. But I still appreciate my Patreons. And they are Alex Stetsena, Ramsey Guy, my sister Mary Eileen, Big George DeMosi, Eileen Palumbo, my mom, Joey Palumbo, my cousin Rob Pastor Capasig back in the 80s, James Kanowitz, my website guy who has a beautiful family, but you can't get in touch with him, Jimmy Riccardi, my jerk-off nephew who always traveling the globe now. God bless him. Love you, Jimbo. My nephew, John Henry Riccardi, who's based in Los Angeles. My nephew, Eric, out of Austin, Texas. Michael Caprio, who showed up at my show in downtown Avenel. More on that later. I keep on saying more on that later. Frank Palumbo, my brother, CFO. Darryl Clark, my LSU, Louisiana guy. Greg Casalino. Mike Shecky, the Dolphin Suck Lawler. Dave Ben, 16 years in school with him. Pat Volkemer, everybody's finest. Who has shitty internet, which is why I got fuzzy. And more on Pat when we get to the Oscars. I'm just going to keep on saying more later. Show's going to be 7 hours long. Martin Waltsack, Colonial Boy. Michael Deege plays Alphonse. Janine Michaud getting involved. Absolute Eyewear. Robin Achani, Barna. John Henry Palumbo, my cousin. Greg Alperin, my partner in crime. Bobby Palumbo, Tommy Palumbo, and Tyson Hogan, who we don't know who he is, but he seems like a great guy, and he listens to the show, getting involved. Thank you very much, Tyson. So that's it. That is the Patreon. Thank you so much. Please go to patreon.com, Patreon, Then you got to search Jimmy Palumbo Show, have your credit card out, and after that, it's easy. All right. Now, Oscars. Chris, did you watch the Oscars at all? Yeah.
No.
Okay. I figured that.
I have not watched the Oscars ever once in my entire life.
Okay.
Though, so.
Well, listen, bottom line is the Oscars, we had Pat on last week, but we had some technical difficulties on his end. And he picked, I went out and picked everything. I rattled off. I was 16 of 23. So I was 16-7. I picked some good ones, but I didn't go all in on everything, everywhere, all at once, as I did last week. That's my favorite title of all time because you forget what it is. You think it's like everywhere, anywhere, who came, everybody gather around, all at once, the gang's all here. That's the name of that movie as far as I'm concerned. I also predicted that All Quiet on the Western Front would do well, and it won cinematography and Best International Picture, and I believe was the best movie of the year. Why? Because I think people need to see what as I did. My grandfather fought there. He was a war hero there, but how brutal these wars are. You go all the way down the line. World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf, whatever it is. These wars are brutal. And what this movie did, everybody loves that first 5 minutes of Saving Private Ryan. That was like a walk in the park compared to what went on World War I, especially with the Germans and the French and the English in the beginning of the war. And this movie just depicted how brutal, how naive everybody was. The start of it, the guns got better, the equipment got better, men were slaughtered, and the end of the movie is so awful, powerful, how stupid. Loss of life with 15 minutes before the armistice. Horrible. But it's real. It's well acted, well directed. Not everyone's cup of tea. No one wants to watch that thing, but I think everybody should watch it in case everybody says, let's go in and bomb. No, it doesn't work that way. Anyway, it's a great movie. I thought Jimmy Kimmel was fine. I thought he was funny. I thought he was I didn't think likable. I thought when he did push the envelope, there were quick one-liners that you would say, at the Thanksgiving table. I thought the jokes were, quick, funny, to the point, whatever. Listen, everybody says I'm not watching because it's woke. I didn't think this was nearly as woke as the last 10 years. There was a couple in there, but listen, everybody says Hollywood. I guess I'm part of Hollywood. But, when you launch a movie, over 500 people are involved in this process, okay? And it's not like the Jimmy Palumbo Show where 2 people are involved. It's, excuse me, it's a lot of people, hardworking, blue-collar people, technical people, guys running cables, creative people. And everybody's like, oh, these movies is Hollywood. You know what? Not everybody is, whatever side of the fence you're on, not everybody involved in Hollywood is on that side. There's regular people that have jobs, and whether they're the top creators or the underneath guys who are moving it. And give me a break. They keep on calling it a circle jerk for Hollywood. Really? What is the All-Star game? What is the Pro Bowl? What is the Super Bowl? What is the 2 weeks between the Super Bowl?
So the only reason why I'm going to push back here is because you criticize those things. So it's like,
I do. Of course I do.
But then if you're going to criticize those things, then some people should have the ability to criticize the Grammys. I'm
not saying
Oscars.
To criticize.
I personally criticize all of them, and I think that they all stink.
Well, listen,
and they're all worthy of seeing what happened. I'm interested in seeing maybe who won the Oscar, who won the Grammy, who won the ESPY. But sitting through the pageantry, I just can't do it because it's not.
I get that. I'm not saying it's. Am I saying that it's fine viewing? No, I'm not saying that.
It's just not entertaining to me. That's what it comes down to.
It's an award show. It's really the original. I don't want to say the original award show, but it is the. People don't really quite know who won.
It's what other award shows like the ESPYs and things were modeled after. So
Correct.
If you see an award show,
you know what it is? It's the Rose Bowl. It's the granddaddy of them all. Started in 1927. Anyway, so they did 95 of these things. And I didn't see all the movies. I saw a few of them. And I thought some of the speeches were very heartfelt. People don't realize the guy who won for Everything, Everywhere, Gather Around, that movie, he was the little kid in Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, this guy toiled in L.A. You Google if you go to IMDb, you're going to see a lot of gaps in there. And here was a guy, I'm not saying it would be like me winning the Academy Award, but in a way, it's like this guy toiled and all of a sudden, he just hit a 700-foot home run to win the World Series. And I got to give that kid credit. Plus, some of the Japanese actresses that never got a chance to do certain things because of the way of the world, that's fine too. They were heartfelt. The people were thanking their mother and father a lot. They were thanking their friends and family, their wives, their kids. I had no problem. There was a couple of clunkers in there where guys threw in some.
That's kind of what I felt like when I joined the podcast today. I felt like Jimmy had just won his Oscar. I was like, damn, Jimmy broke through. You were thanking people. You were, I even got a mention. I was like, wow, Jimmy.
No, well, listen, it's part of the Oscar celebration. I have to thank people. As a matter of fact, I would not, this is all for you kids out there want to go to showbiz, or really at this point, most of my audience is shot. If you have kids that are pursuing a dream, the best thing you could do as a parent is support it.
And a podcast.
No, anything, acting, music, rock and roll.
You got to do it. And you got to do a podcast.
And of course you got to do a podcast on Chop Sports Media. And you have to support them. My family has been incredibly supportive. I would not be in showbiz today without my mother, my father, my brothers, my cousins. When you're in a jam, they show up. When you need Patreon members, they show up. You can't do it. So if you're one of those rebels that's saying F you to your family, that's cool. Go for it. But that's like going into the playoffs and you have no bullpen. So if you want to run your starters out for 9 innings, maybe you can win. Maybe
you better be the 3-hitter.
Yeah. So anyway, so I saw some of the things were heartfelt, and that's cool. A couple of weird things. First of all, Pat Volckermer went 19-4. So he only beat me by 3, and he's supposed to be a guru. But Pat, you know what's happening to Pat? Pat is starting to look like Boog Powell now because he's struggling with the streaming of stuff. He got like one wrong every year. So I think the streaming and the landscape has changed. So I give Pat a few more years to adjust, and he'll be back. He said someone got 20 out of 23, and that is very hard to do if you look at who won. Anyway, so Pat beat me once again, but I hung right in there. During the in memoriam is always a big thing. Who died? They do this stuff. I got a couple of criticisms of it, and I'm going to catch shit for this. Number one, like, really? Paul Sorvino, Goodfellas. He died. You got to throw him a shout out. Even Anne Heche, did she die a terrible way? But she had some issues, and she was a mess at the end, and she passed away in a car accident. And also Tom Sizemore. I mean, Saving Private Ryan and about 10 other movies. This guy was awesome. He ran into trouble and all that stuff. But is that a reason? I mean, what do we get if we eliminate everybody that got into trouble? And none of these were. Well, I shouldn't say it, but it's going to sound so wrong. But I don't care. None of these were OJ-esque, if you know what I'm talking about. And if OJ dies, he's and plus some of the TV stars. If this is for film, the Oscars. So if you were on a big TV show, and you only did like 1 or 2 films, yeah, maybe they don't mention as other guys in the industry. I love it when they put like cinematographers and lighting guys, because you don't realize when you Google them, like, wow, this guy did lighting on like major movies from Ben-Hur to Rocky to Jaws, and he deserves a shout out. But I still think those 3 should have been given a shout out. The other thing I have a problem with, listen, Lenny Kravitz is great, talented guy, right? He's at the piano, and they start with that somber music. You know it's coming. Those who have left us in this year, right? You get that somber music. That's cool. But usually they show the pictures of the guy who died with the nice piano music in the background that makes you go, oh, I didn't realize he died. Oh, of course, now with the internet, we know everything. But it's supposed to be like somber acknowledgement of people who have passed away in that industry. That's fine. But they spent like way too long on Lenny Kravitz playing the piano. Like, who cares? Show him for the first 10 seconds or 5 seconds, and then get to the black and white photos of the people who have passed away.
I agree. Whatever gets through this dreadful show faster. Not this one, the Oscars.
See, I thought you were coming after the Jimmy Palumbo podcast, which when I can't wait till the 30 on 30 on Chop Sports comes up. I will stay alive just for that 30
That was
on
actually
30.
good. I could have let that go because I realized what you may have thought I was saying as I was saying it.
No,
and,
you couldn't.
That's not where I was going with it. But
my how can I word this? My play in the world of Chop Sports is, I know you and Dave will get a monument, but I will have a really nice plaque just outside the stadium. I assure you.
Yeah. Dirty one being
Anyways,
constructed right now.
but anyway, I just think like show the people. I don't want Lenny Kravitz is great, but I even have a problem with all the music. Like they should show on the screen the music during the film, like a live person singing a song from the movie. That never makes sense to me. Show it how it is used in the film. That would be like showing like Tom Brady throwing a football with his kids on stage instead of showing him throwing touchdown passes. It's stupid to me. I never understood that. I think they should get rid of all the live dancing and singing. It should all be gone. You could kill a half hour off the show. So that's it on the Oscars. I got to give a couple of shout outs. Those of you scoring at home. Leonard Skinner, founding guitarist Gary Rossington, passed away. Those of you, he wrote not Simple Man, but the other one. I can't. Oh my God, brain freeze. But he also did the slide guitar at the beginning of Freebird, and Freebird is usually in the top 10 of iconic rock and roll songs. And Gary Rossington does that slide in the beginning, and that is awesome. So, and Gary, I saw Skinner a couple times at concert. It was really cool. And I got to give a shout out. Also, I got to give a shout out to Joe Pepitone, who passed away the other day. He was, as I talked to the older folks, what they say about Joe Pepitone, he was kind of the first Kyrie Irving, Reggie Jackson,
prima donna.
He didn't fit the mold of the. That's why they got rid of him. Like, who is this guy? Right today, Pepitone would be a star, but he was a very good hitter in Major League Baseball. And even better, after he got out of baseball, he cursed a lot of people out, and he did interviews and bashed a lot of people. But as he got older, friends of mine met him at these baseball camps, and everybody, I swear to God, 10 to 12 people I've talked to said nobody better sitting at the bar or a restaurant than Joe Pepitone, because he spanned that whole, like Mickey Mantle all the way Yogi. He had like his era was a lot of legendary guys, and he would tell all kinds of funny stories, and that you can't really, some of them probably now that everybody's dead, you can get away with. And I'm sure he didn't even tell the R-rated ones. They were PG-13, unless it was a private conversation. But I got to give the guy credit. He was a baseball guy through and through. He passed away. Also, I got to give a shout out to Dominic Lombardozzi, a good friend of mine who I did the movie The Family with, who's on Tulsa Kings right now. His mom, unfortunately, passed away this week. She's been poor health for a little bit. It was really hard on Dom, and she died of actually ALS, which is near and dear to my family's heart because in a weird way, because my dad was a huge Lou Gehrig fan, which people from Colonia know that. And my dad was in on this ALS a long time ago. Now they have ALS days and all this stuff. And my dad's been talking about this disease since I was like 12. I mean, a long time. It was called Lou Gehrig's disease, but it was always the real name was ALS. Don't ask me to pronounce it, but it's ALS. And my dad did the cutest thing. My dad had a little coffee can, and he put a little like kind of a piece of a wallpaper around it, and he wrote ALS donation, and he kept it on his desk with a slit. And what my dad would do is he would take all his loose change, right? My dad wasn't a rich man. Take all his loose change or dollars he had laying around, he would shove it in this can. And when it got filled up, he would empty. Chris, you're gonna love this. When he filled it up, he would, whatever that little coffee can was, he would fill it up, mostly with coins, not like dollar bills, and just lay it out on his desk, count it. He would make a deposit, and he would write a check to ALS for the exact. I mean, he would write a check for $27.89
with rolls of pennies, going to the bank and making a deposit.
That's what he used to do, and he would tell everybody. And as a matter of fact, I saved it. It's in my daughter's room actually right now. And it was I couldn't throw it out when he died. I'm like, this is great because my dad, he always used to say they haven't figured out any treatment for ALS since Lou Gehrig's time. I mean, they really have made, there's like 3 or 4 diseases that I don't know. I know one of them's ALS, maybe pancreatic. I forget which one, where they say if you got it in 1940 or 2023, you're equally as screwed because they haven't made just about every disease. They make chemo and radiation, but there's still these 3 or 4 diseases that are out there. ALS is one of them where they really just they haven't figured this out. But I did read, though, about 6 months ago, a lot of these drugs that cure things come by accident. you're trying to cure your knee, and it turns out the guy who hurt his knee had ALS, and blah blah blah. I heard that some kind of drug actually has promise on holding serve, where it stops it, but you still have it, but that kind of thing. So I'm hopeful there. But anyway, shout out to Dominic Lombardozzi's mom. Dom's been very good to me. We had a lot of fun on the family, and I love you, Dom. And I know you went through a long, rough time there with your mom. I met your mom once. She was cool, classic, old. Dominic's mother and father were like off the boat Italians with the meat hanging in the garage. They made wine every year, and the wine was unbelievably delicious. Dom doesn't make the wine anymore because his parents were passed away and one was sick. But I'm like, Dom, you have to go back to making the wine. It was delicious. Maybe I could talk him into it. But anyway, shout out to him. And that's about it. Now it brings me to cornholelevel.com. That's right. Cornholelevel.com. Mike Caprio's company, who showed up at my event this weekend. And we're going to go right into that after I do this ad. Cornholelevel.com. That's right. $19.95. You get 20% off. Now, these things, I'm going to show it to you right here. They hook on the hole, Chris. And oh, I'm doing this right. There you go. You hook on the hole, and it lets you know if it's level by the little dot in the middle there. Oh, look at me doing like an ad for the place. But go check it out. You get a 20% offer, a 20% off if you put in JP Show, and I think even Chop Sports as well. They're $19.95, so save yourself that $1.45. These are great gag gifts. They're great gifts. Like I know, Chris, you're the kind of guy, even though you're not a big fan of cornhole, if you were having a barbecue of which your mother did everything, and she said, Chris, just make sure you have the cornhole boards out. And then you went to go set it up and realized, oh my God, my mother is doing everything. And now my only job was to set up the cornhole, and my boards are shitty. They're not level. And then I got
not my boards, bro. I got my cornhole levels.
Okay,
and honestly,
so now,
my brother bought like 6 of them that day at the barbecue.
See that? I love it. That's what you got to do. Cornholelevel.com. Check them out. Mike Caprio, my second baseman behind Mitch Fishman, who was the first one. Really, the second one. The first one was Lou Paragallo. Shout out to Lou on my dad's team. All right, Chris. Because you were Ben Simmons, you missed my Avenel show. I want to talk about that a little bit. First of all, this being part of this thank you world, I want to thank all my friends and some family and that everybody who showed up. We had a nice crowd both nights. I probably should have done just one night and packed the hell out of it, but we did 2 nights, and it was cool. Everybody seemed to have fun. It's a great place to see comedy, Avenel Performing Arts Center. If you see a comedian up there that you like or a show that you like, go there. Got the restaurant, the bars right there. It's like you park, you can eat, drink, go to the show, then have another cocktail without getting back in your car. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Friday night was Randy Lupo and Eric McMahon. And Saturday was Kelly Shannon and Mike Egan. They both were great. Eric McMahon, a little shout out. Thank you for you were really fair to me with your time. And he knows what I'm talking about. And also to Mike Egan, who has a bad hip. He showed up limping. I thought he's older than me. I was like, wow, this guy's banging. Like, this is not Chris Gucci here. This guy still shows up for the show. And he sat on the edge of the stool and did very, very well, which is awesome. As for me, well, I went a little long on both shows, but you know what? I had fun. The first 10 minutes, I just ripped on Colonia and Woodbridge and had some fun. And Colonia Pizzeria. I don't know if you saw my post. I went into Colonia Pizzeria on Wednesday, and there was a guy there. Colonia Pizzeria is like identical to where it looked in 1981. I mean, I can't think of
the exact same, except for they don't have the arcade. They used to have like a video game in there.
One video game. Yeah.
Just one video game. It would be like Street Fighter.
It probably broke.
They would change it out every couple of years.
But I'm willing to bet in all of Woodbridge Township, I'm about to say another stupid thing. In all of Woodbridge Township, see if you can follow along what I'm about to say, Christopher. I think Colonia Pizzeria has to be in the top 5 of the least amount of changes to the business since 1980. I'm being stupid now. I'm sure there's a bar.
I mean, like I could think of a couple that just recently changed, like Pizza Time in Avenel.
Yeah, that's changed. Strawberries changed. Even not
strawberries changed.
Like I'm trying to think of even like a regular business. Oh, you know what? The Colonia Dairy made pretty much the same on the outside and pretty much
Yeah,
the same on the
yeah,
inside. That's one.
yeah.
But I mean, what I'm trying to, maybe top 10, I should say. Like, if you want to go in a
The
time warp,
Bamboo House.
yeah, Bamboo House is one for sure. Good one. Good one. Um, I don't know. I mean, listen,
We're talking
Woodbridge,
just Colonia right here
right?
anyway.
Woodbridge Township's huge, and there's different things. But like, you go in there, it's a time warp, and the pizza. You know, everybody mocks out their local pizza, but I think when you grow up with a certain kind of pizza, right?
I
And
know
then,
exactly. I love Colonia pizza.
okay, so then what happens is when you travel the world, you judge other pizzerias by your local pizza, for better or for worse. And I had the 2 slices. I'm like, you know what? This pizza's not bad. It's a solid slice. Is it like crazy thin slice like strawberries is? Or no? But you get a plain slice. I got one plain.
It's the first slice of pizza that I ever remember.
Well, there you go.
tasting.
I mean, it's like your first girl you fooled around with.
100%.
She's
Grape
automatically
soda,
on it.
slice of pizza.
There you go. And the yellow seats are the same. It's classic. Everybody's very kind. Ross, the son, even the father showed up. But even crazier, a guy was sitting there and he tells me he was an extra in a movie. I'm like, oh, that's cool. He goes, yeah, it was a movie called Beer League. And I was like, I thought someone was putting me on. And then he would say, yeah, the bachelor party scene. So what are the odds? I go to.
Did you happen to get that guy's name?
No, I can get it though, because he's the cousin of the owner.
Did he live on Amherst?
No, he's not really from Colonia. He just happened to be in there. Crazy to me. I gotta watch but he looks so for 16 years ago. But what are the odds? I go to Colonia Pizzeria every 27 years. I go in there and the guy's from Beer League as an extra. I laughed my ass off. I shot a little video. Check it out.
Still, my mother still drives into Colonia to get her Christmas tree.
There you go. And I did a whole bit on that in my show. Anyway, so listen, I had a good show. A shout out to John Maddie, who took me to the Colonia VFW after Saturday night show. And I was talking to some really cool people. That's a cool little place. If you're in Colonia, sign up to go there. They changed the rules. You can be a family member of VFW. Then they have an auxiliary. They do fundraisers. They do a lot for the community, and they like to have a good time at the bar. It's a cool.
They get hammered and play darts on Monday nights.
Yeah, I mean,
every single one of my friends still that's local to Colonia, I think, still plays darts on Monday night there.
Yeah, so it's got a pool table. It's a cool little. It's old
fun
school.
crowd. Fun crowd.
You know what?
I bet. No,
I'll tell you what.
Is a fun crowd.
I tell you what.
I'm just talking shit about my people.
Wait a minute now. Hang on a second. Is it possible that the Colonia VFW hasn't changed much in 40 years?
Oh,
very possible.
I mean, other than the rules. But yeah.
I could swear, though, the bar was on the other side at one point.
I would have to go in there and check it out.
But it's probably not. I don't know. It probably hasn't
I can tell you the optics from the outside. I don't know of any VFWs that have changed much over the last
there you go.
40 years.
So maybe Colonia Pizza is now ranked 20th in the country. Anyway, also a shout out to my daughter. Danced in a recital this weekend. She did very well. Her dances were cool. The King Center did well. I was able to do my shows and scoot over to Somerset at the live from the downtown Somerset Hungarian Center, which anybody has anything to do with Hungarians has been to this place. It's huge. Big church and facilities and all that stuff. Unfortunately, my daughter wasn't feeling well. She couldn't do her solo. She's recovering right now. Hope she feels better. Nat, if you're listening, love you. She just wasn't feeling well. We're like, you know what? Let's get her home. But the rest of the gang did well. I made a huge mistake I was hungry, and the Hungarians were making food for the dance competition. And they had kibasi with sauerkraut and pierogies. So, of course, what did I do? I ordered a massive plate of kibasi and a massive plate of pierogies, ate the whole damn thing. I was so bloated, and I just can't eat kibasi. I'm one of those guys.
I'm proud to say that I've never even tried it.
Oh, it's the best ever.
I love it, but it just doesn't look.
It just set me back. I was on the disabled list all day yesterday, but I still love it. And every time I have kibasi, it disagrees with me, and I say never again. And then someone has a tray of kibasi in front of me, and I eat it. So I'm the jerk off.
Did you load up some kraut? You ever go to Green Bay?
Yes, I've been to Green Bay.
Yeah, so you had some Green Bay brats.
Yep, I love all that stuff. But it just, you get older, you got to watch. I got to take the gas X, you know what I mean? So let's get us to something very sad.
Is it going to be Selection Sunday? Selection Sunday?
okay, this is hard for me because I've been tough on RU the last 6 weeks. And I said, you know what? I don't think they're going to get in. They just didn't win enough down the stretch. But I was all in. My theory in my head. I'm like, I don't think it's going to happen. And then the other teams came out, and Rutgers did not get in. And then I started looking at the teams that just got in above us, and I'm like, well, hang on a second. And basically, to me, they didn't go by who you beat. They went by who you lost to. And
that last law, what is
the
it?
Minnesota game cost them. But you know what? It's subjective at the very end, and it's not an exact science. And I think Rutgers got screwed. I think they didn't want to have 9 teams from the Big Ten. I think Rutgers got screwed. I think they should have gotten in, even though they played lousy down the stretch. They still should have got in because they beat. Look,
so do you think that is a team getting screwed? I mean, if they already had 8, if you finish 9th in your conference, I get it's the Big Ten. Is there typically more than not 8 in any conference ever?
I think one year 10 went. Sure, Big Ten has 14 schools now. The bottom line is though.
Yeah, but
okay,
still.
but first of all, we beat Purdue. They're in. We beat Maryland. They're in. We beat Penn State twice. They're in. And a couple other schools that are in, we beat. And I think we went 10-10 in league. It's one of the better leagues, you know. So I knew we were higher than North Carolina. And anyway, we didn't get in. We're in the NIT. I'm worried about. They play Hofstra tonight. Hofstra hasn't played. Hofstra's in a different league and stuff like that. But I think Rutgers are going to be so let down. I really want to judge Peichel tonight because he's got to tell his team, look, we got screwed. If you feel that way, now let's not. If they lose tonight, what's going to happen. They're going to go, see, they've been playing lousy. So
yeah, I don't buy that. Look, to me, like I'm going to go play hard anyway. Because if I was playing in the street in an hour, I would probably play as hard as I can.
Yeah, that's you though. Some players, teams get let down.
That's what I'm saying. Like
season.
That's me. I could totally understand the team not giving a shit at this point. You know, like after the letdown, it's like the NIT. I feel like it's almost like, what do? You go out and win the NIT. It's like
I know.
It's like tying in football.
It's interesting there.
Like tying in the
I'm
NFL.
let down. The whole thing is I don't know. Again, Hofstra's ranked 91 in the country. We're ranked 45th. We're favored by a lot. We should win the game, but you never know. So that's it. That's my depressing Scarlet Knights not making the tournament. I'm devastated by that. The Giants signed Daniel Jones, and I refuse to get into the money angle because he probably deserved $35 million. But when you go to Vegas and you bet, that center when you're playing craps and you throw money in the middle there and you hit it, you got an 8 and you hit double 4s, you get more money. That's how it goes. He gambled. The Giants had no other option.
The Giants are the ones that actually gambled by not giving him the 5th-year option, and then he went out and showed up. So it's like they were glad to pay it. I guarantee.
And the thing you can't go by with NFL, and you know this, Chris, it's really with the salary cap. It's really a giant spreadsheet, and there's moving pieces, and there's details of the contract of when the money goes,
when the team has an out.
There's all these different things. So, and you know what? There was no other option. They weren't going to get Carr, and they gave Barkley the franchise, which I really haven't heard much from him since. He's probably aggravated. But you know what? I feel like, hey, Saquon, you've made a lot of money.
Jimmy, all it does is with the franchise tag was
you buy a year.
I don't think Saquon's playing on the tag next year. I think they're just extending the exclusive negotiating window because they franchise tag him. Nobody else can negotiate with him now. He has to play for them, but the intention on the Giants front office is to still work out a long-term deal with Barkley. They don't want to pay him. They want to fix that relationship and move into the season.
But you know what?
Well.
I have a problem with that.
Me too. I mean, I think it's good business to keep it the way it is and, make him earn it another season. You want to give him an extension at week 12 next year when he proved that, that's okay.
And you know
fine.
What have I been saying for 2 years on this show? When you watch a game on NFL Sunday, when the quarterback hands the ball off to a running back, that running back is usually unknown until he got to that team. Pacheco, I watched him play for 3 years at Rutgers. He's a decent little back on a bad football team. And now all of a sudden he's Patrick Ewing in the league. And there's tons of run. Gus Edwards, started on Ravens
Listen,
for 3 or 4
are
years.
you ready?
You
Are you
don't
ready?
need number
This is
2
all you need
picks.
to know. This is all you need to know. In the last 2 days, in the last 3 days, 3-star running backs got put on the trade block. And I'm talking about first, second, third pick overall in fantasy football. Dalvin Cook from the Vikings, going to get traded. Derrick Henry on the Titans, going to get traded. Miles Sanders, the Eagles running back, 13 touchdowns this year. They're not even thinking about bringing him back.
Right.
Kareem Hunt, free agent. There's another one. Austin Eckler, number 1 running back for the Chargers, 2,000 yards a year, all purpose. Trade block. That's why you don't pay Saquon, because it's like, okay, we're going to sign somebody else anyway for dirt cheap.
I would look in the 3rd or 4th round for a running back.
100%.
I'd let him do the franchise tag after the season. If I think this other back is better, I'd say, Saquon, you got to go.
Wayne
Love
Gallman.
you.
Welcome back, Wayne Gallman.
Anyway, so yeah, no, it could be the other way. It also sucks when you have a bad running back for a couple of years. But
well, you know what?
That's the way it goes.
I don't know that there is a bad running back in the NFL. I think that there's just bad offensive lines. There's worse than others, but if you create a seam, I could get 3 or 4 yards of play.
Okay, 3 or 4 yards. Then what am I getting? 6 or 7 yards a carry? Come on now,
oh
stop
my
it.
Goodness gracious!
You're the most overrated athlete. You're old. You can't even show up for a podcast. You're talking about getting 3 or 4 yards in a football game.
I guarantee
you couldn't even show. You're always banged up.
If I had a game that day, I would have put off whatever bullshit.
Well, my show is a game. My show is a game. But again, I'm like the Brett Gardner of chop.
Yeah, but it's pickleball.
Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm better than you in pickleball too. And tennis. Anyway, another thing, now that I'm arguing with Chris, is another thing. Can we please, NFL, Jets, please get Aaron Rodgers out of the news? I am so sick of this guy. Yes, he's the best quarterback in the league, but I wish I could talk to Aaron Rodgers' agent.
You think that we're going to argue over this? I want him out of the news too. I don't give a shit anymore. I want it to be done with. Whatever is going to happen, make your decision. Let's move on.
And another thing. Shame on the Packers if the Jets want Aaron Rodgers. If I were the Packers, I'd be like, you know what? You're right. We're going to trade him, but we're going to get like 17,000 picks to the end. This has got to be a Herschel Walker Cowboy scenario. You're getting rid of the Packers will stink next year without Rodgers. I guarantee it.
So I want to get into a little bit of an explanation as to why the Packers, just without going too deep in it, they're going to get decent compensation, but the Packers are in a bad spot in the salary negotiations. They want to trade Rodgers too. GMs know that. It's not like they're like, whoa, we have this commodity that everyone wants. The Jets are the only team in. There's not 2 suitors. It's Jets, retire, or Packers. So it drives the price down. And the Packers want to move on, and the Jets know that.
Then I shame on the other GMs for saying, no, we don't want Aaron Rodgers. Really? There's a lot of shitty quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't want to hear it. You get Aaron Rodgers for a couple of years, you can change your franchise.
Yeah, Rodgers negotiated himself into a situation where, he's at the end of his career. So if he doesn't want to go somewhere, he could just say, well, I'm going to retire. Trade me there. You're going to give up capital. He has all the leverage. He really does.
I just get on the jet. First of all, it'll be a lot of fun. I know you're a Packer fan, so it'll suck losing Rodgers, but I think Rodgers on the Jets will be a lot of fun next year with Daniel Jones, Rodgers.
I'd rather Rodgers on the Jets in a very tough AFC, see what he could do. Get him out of my conference, if anything, and let's see what the kid could do. We've been here before. There's no guarantees, but it's not every day you get a first-round talent that's had 3 years to sit behind the same head coach. You don't see that in the NFL much, so we'll see.
It could be the Steve Young scenario. Who knows? Anyway, that's that. Yankees, spring training. I love how they have like 4 games in one day. You go look at the box scores. You're trying to see all these names. I tell you, this kid Volpe, though, he's giving the Yankees an argument for like, no, don't send me down. And normally I always say send a kid down, let him. But I'm thinking to myself, these athletes today,
what are we talking about? We're looking at, I'm tired of seeing the Astros have a 19-year-old shortstop that's dominating, and we have one in the minors that we let rot.
I know there's some rules for how often you put them up. And the other guy who probably won't make it, but I think will play this year, is this kid Dominguez. These guys hitting bombs. So I know there are rules, and again, my ignorance, I'm sure you know more. You can only you bring a guy up and down a certain amount, I think, and so there's compensation. So there's a little weird thing going on, but I think Dominguez is actually younger than Volpe. And he's
Dominguez is younger than Volpe.
I would say let Dominguez send him back, although he's doing well. Send him back down.
Dominguez look, Volpe's a little more major league ready, I think, but who am I?
Right.
You know, Dominguez is a lefty that I think pitchers will figure out.
And there's going to be injuries.
You know,
Stanton goes down or someone goes down. You can just bring Dominguez up for a.
I'll tell you what, though, if both these kids go down, there's going to be some fun, good baseball to watch local for cheap with all these Yankees AAA affiliates are good right now.
I don't see Volpe getting cut. We'll see. Anyway, that's fun. Also, Stanton, who I don't think got a hit the first 2 weeks of the season. Suppose he smoked a couple of balls. They were laughing how hard he almost took the head off the third baseman and the first baseman. The outfielder out there. So Stanton and Judge hit his first home run this week. God bless. That's my Yankee stuff. Of course, we got chasingmiracles.com. That's right. You got to go to chasingmiracles.com. They make hydration water packs. You put the stuff in water, shaking around. You get all kinds of 70 trace minerals go into your body, increasing your strength and stamina. It's good stuff. Give Tommy and Donna a call. Talk to them. They're into this thing. There's a lot of good things. As a matter of fact, she sent me a new packet, and I've been starting to do it again because I got to get. Oh man, I slipped. I am in. What I ate this weekend. Again, wait, hang on. chasingmiracles.com. It's got to help me out because I need the help. What I did this weekend, Chris, I ate like shit. Kibasi, pierogies. Good little Catholic boy that I am. Friday night, after the show, my cousin John dropped me off back at the hotel. And we went to McDonald's. And I was like, oh, it's Lent Friday. He's like, no, it's after midnight. I'm like, no, you go by Friday night means, like, don't you hate when WFAN at 12:30 at night talks about how the Yankees play tonight? That's like, no, yeah. It's still until 3:00 when the bars close. Then you got to go to bed first. Then it's the day. Anyway, so you know what? I got 2 filet-o-fish. I stuck to my thing. Of course, I didn't go to church on Sunday, so I screwed the whole thing up. But I've been eating bad. A lot of popcorn, a lot of garbage. You can't give me 2 boxes of Girl Scout cookies. Why, Chris? What happens to those cookies?
Because I think what you said is that what'd you say? You're like a cockroach?
A cockroach or a bad mouse who's telling his buddies, I'm telling you.
Either way.
There's cheese and crackers.
I think that's just a short for fat piece of shit.
Fat piece of shit. I don't feel right. I got to get back. I got to start going tomorrow. I'm going back in the gym, man. I haven't weighed myself in a month because I'm afraid. I think I'm going to break the scale. I might be close to 210 now, bro. I don't know. We shall see.
You know what I ate all weekend? Soup and ice cream, like a little.
You're on the
tough scenario.
You're on the disabled list. You can't show up. Anyway, so chasingmiracles.com. Also, don't forget Pine Tar Bar and Grill. PineTarBarGrill.com. Go check it out. 121 South Main Street, Forked River, New Jersey. 609-489-4286. My buddy Tommy's Bar. Check it out. It's an awesome sports bar. You'll love it. The food is awesome. Also, a lot of mental health issues going around in our country today, as Chris, as you well know. Go talk to my friend Lisa Ruane, 201-725-1251. She's great. She'll help you out. She's good people, and she'll get you through. Now, Last of Us. I don't want to reveal anything. The season finale was 2 nights ago. Just wow there. A little ending there. I was like, whoo. It stuck with me. The show ended. I was like, all right, new season. All of a sudden, I was like, wow. Hey, Joel, what did you do there, bro? So I thought it was a great way to end the season. Very thought-provoking. The other show I'm watching is Your Honor.
You said end the season? They're coming out with another episode in like 2 weeks, they said. Bonus episode. I just read it 10 minutes ago.
I thought it was a bonus behind the scenes, not an episode. Anyway, if that's the case, that's the case. But if they ended it...
Maybe I read it
I don't
wrong.
know. Well, listen, the way they ended it, either way, whether it's season or not, the way they ended it Sunday, I had a delayed effect. I was like, first of all, I was like, all right, I actually thought it was a little, maybe even a boring ending. And then I realized, whoa, what did this guy do? Holy shit. I thought it was cool. I've been watching Your Honor, which has been great. The acting in this is great. You don't know where it's going still. This Baxter family, they're crazy and all this different stuff. So I've been enjoying that. The other one, one of my favorite shows on the air, it's not talked about much. I don't know. It's Perry Mason. Have you watched any of this? Perry Mason on HBO is an awesome show. The acting is tremendous. But the best part about Perry Mason has nothing to do with the old TV show, other than he's a lawyer. They show LA like in the 30s and 40s, that film noir LA kind of deal. Really cool. Like the cinematography is awesome. How they show how LA was, the cars, the people, the way of life. Very, very cool there. And I know we're running along here, so I'll wrap it up. Beer League, news on Beer League. All 5 episodes are in fact edited now. They're doing some final tweaks, like really, really cutting hairs there, what they're doing. So all these 5 webisodes will be ready to go. We still want to launch March 30th. However, we ran into a little legal hiccup, and we want to do this legitimate, make sure everybody gets paid who deserves to get paid. And we're still hoping for March 30th. And as soon as we get these things signed, we're good to go. I should be hearing something. I think by next Monday's podcast, I should know more, because they know we want to launch on March 30th. And the investors of the original Beer League, they want to launch on March 30th as well. So they'll be ready to go. And then I'll be blasting out all over the place. Beer League 2 YouTube channel, Beer League 2 Facebook, Beer League 2 Instagram. We're going to be running these shows on all the platforms, probably once a week for 5 weeks, and see if people like it, or maybe twice a week for 2.5 weeks. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm excited about that. And that's it, Christopher. Well, I'm glad your nose is okay and your sinuses. Good to have you back as always. And I think that's about it. The Jimmy Palumbo Show is wrapping up. Here's the beginning of his 3rd year here from the Omni in Atlanta. I haven't said the Omni in a while. I've been doing a lot of Shea. I don't know why. Shea's in my head right now with the dirt infield. All right, kids. That's it. Chris, thank you. And I will, and a shout out to Dave for showing up on Friday night. He had some beers and laughs backstage. We had some giggles. And a shout out to Deej for showing up at my show. He brought me on stage Friday, and you'll see some clips of it. And that's it, my brother. I will talk to you next week.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
You got it.